Try this again. All right, so we started talking about, for the message center set of things, manage environments for Power Platform public preview, which is out right now. It gives you, especially if you have Power Platform deployed, it gives you a little bit more governance capabilities and seeing exactly what's happening, getting notifications of this. It's in preview right now. And one thing, if you're interested in this, the biggest thing you have to understand is in preview, it's not going to require the premium Power Platform licenses to be able to deploy and use. However, once this is done, and they haven't said exactly when it's going to be done, the public preview side of things, that they are going to make that a requirement. So you're going to have a premium license to be able to do that. So just keep that in mind. All right. SharePoint Online and Stream. If you guys recall, from a Microsoft perspective, we're getting away from the Stream area and really moving a lot of that stuff to SharePoint and OneDrive as the primary way of doing it. However, one of the things that's been missing is moving to those platforms is to be able to see all the videos. And so this is a new thing inside SharePoint. This is coming out here in mid-July to late July. Where you're going to be able to see all videos from a SharePoint site collection in one place. And basically what you're able to do is, especially in Teams, you're going to be able to add a tab that's going to pull that information in and show your videos for a site collection in one place. Now, it depends, like, again, you've moved over into SharePoint being that space where you're going to be storing those videos, maybe shared videos, right? You'll be able to then pull all those from that site collection into one location. If this is the case, you guys are using it, make sure that, as this is coming up, make sure you notify your users, update your knowledge base, and any training that needs to happen based off of this change. This is a big one, and I know, I forget specifically. I know we've talked about it in the past about the feature, and I'm talking about the Q&A app feature in Teams meetings. And if you're not familiar with that, if you've ever done live events, there's a moderated chat capability within that. That's been brought over into Teams meetings as what's called a Q&A app. And you go into the team meeting, you go ahead and add that Q&A app. Well, that whole mechanism is changing, and this is an important one if you're using the Q&A app in the future, now or in the future, right? In mid-July to late July, so starting soon, what's going to happen is that to be able to enable Q&A, and I'm going to drop the word app because now it's all done in meeting options. So if you want to use the Q&A inside your Teams meeting, and this is separate than chat. This is a completely separate piece than chat. This is a moderated Q&A. You have to go into meeting options, and you notice that box down at the bottom here as example, enable Q&A. And what that will do is it will automatically pop in that Q&A section so that you can use that in your Teams meetings. Now, in the transition, right? So you may have some meetings that are Q&A that have the Q&A app in it, right? You will see this meeting options pop up. So do a favor, go ahead and enable that feature in meeting options and then go and remove that app from your meeting. Now, if you have data already in there, right, or anything is set up, pre-populated, that data will transfer over. Even if you have like a recurring meeting and you're doing that, that data will transfer over into the new method. But we're getting away from this capability of or the need to add an app into a Teams meeting to do it, which is huge. There's a lot of companies that highly regulate Teams apps, right? And this being part of the meeting options, you're not going to need that issue, or not going to need things like that at all. And eventually, there's going to be a lot more information regarding, the meeting options and being able to manage that at a Teams admin level as well. So again, mid-July to late July. Another thing from an administrative perspective. Being able to unassign policies in bulk. This is coming here in the Teams Admin Center, early July to late July. This gives you the ability to be able to manage a user and say, I want to be, or users, I should say, I want to be able to take these users and be able to remove this policy and add a different policy into that for that user or those set of users, right? Yeah, I agree. I think this is a big, huge thing. It will process batch about 500 users at once. You may have 1,000 or so that you want to do, but it will do batches of 500. And you can check the progress in the activity log in Teams admin. But make sure you update and let your admins know this capability is coming out soon and update their process documentation. All right, another thing specifically for admins is a brand new app, and this is already out. And this is not controlled, and we cannot control it from an admin perspective through app permissions or policies that at this point eventually may. But you do need to be a Teams admin or an admin in general in Office 365 to even do this. And basically, it's an add-in app in Teams for admins, right? So you have very quick and easy way to be able to see, what are your settings, how to manage licenses for users, add and remove users. You have some of those capabilities here in Teams in one spot, as opposed to having to go to the admin console all the time and do things. So again, it's another feature. It's available now as an app that can be added into your Teams. You do have to have admin rights to be able to do this and use it. Just recently announced, this has been kind of talked about for a while, this capability of Cameo in PowerPoint Live. So in PowerPoint Live, I would be able to have a little section in PowerPoint where basically I'm saying, I'm going to add a Cameo, and then I'm able to add someone's video into the slide deck, right? So I could have like a picture in a picture type scenario, right? So here's the slide. Here's my mugshot in the bottom right-hand corner, as you see in that screenshot. So that's coming, by the way, early September to mid-September for standard and GCC, with GCC High and DoD getting it in early December, mid-December. The thing about it, you keep in mind, is this: when that object is inside the PowerPoint, that Cameo object is inside the PowerPoint, it acts like any other Office graphics. So basically you can morph, you can change styles, you can change the shape. So it's not always a square, maybe it's a circle, right, or an oval. You would be able to do those things. The other one thing to keep in mind is right now, along with some other things that are not being able to do this, but you won't be able to see this in the recording. It's only live you'll be able to see those the pieces of the Cameo in there. So keep that in mind. As this is getting rolled out, be ready to test it, see what's going on, and make sure you notify your users of the change and update. But again, this is coming out September to December, right, depending upon which environment you're in. All right, another piece from Teams. There seems to be a lot of Teams related messages in the Message Center this month. But this one has been talked about for a little while, especially for those who want to be able to clean up their call history. So in Teams, if you're in a calls app, you'll be able to right click and remove that item from that call history. But keep that in mind, though. This is just the end user doing that. That's not removing it from the back-end data source, right? So it's just saying, hey, I don't want to see this in my view. And it may be like a voicemail, it might be something completely, all right, just a regular call. I don't need to see that in there. It's just too much, too much information, right? So keep that in mind. It's starting now and going into mid-September, which is pretty wide range. But make sure that as you start seeing this in your environment, that you notify your users of this change. This is a big change. And I saw a couple of people are like, yes, this is what I want. We've been asking for this for a while. But just keep in mind, the whole thing is that even though they delete it in their view, it's still not deleted in the back end. So keep that. One more Teams one I want to highlight is this on the mobile app, so iOS and Android, this intelligent chat message translation. So if I'm in a Teams chat and somebody messages me in a language other than my preferred language on my device, it'll automatically pop up and say, do you want to be able to translate this? And as you kind of see in this screenshot up here, right? So I'm saying, oh, I want to be able to translate this. Do I never want to translate into French? I have those options. You also then have the ability to be able to, from the bottom menu, be able to change your translation settings and provide feedback as necessary. And you want to be able to turn on auto translate, right? Or turn off. You have those capabilities. Once this is rolled out, it'll automatically just be enabled on iOS and Android. So you have this ability at the end user level to be able to make that change. Early August to late September is when this is coming to iOS and Android devices. And make sure you notify your users of this change, especially if you have, that's happening a lot in your organization. You have multiple languages that you have to deal with. So I think it's a great add-on for those companies. Okay, some quick mentions. I do want to mention some things coming, still important ones, but just ones to keep in mind. This first one, that automatically ends stale Teams meetings. We've been plagued by this forever, right? So every time we've done Teams meetings, the ability to have, well, yeah, we can kick somebody out, but what happens if I moved on to another meeting and somebody's still on? Maybe they're on a hold, right? So starting in early August and early September for standard GCC, GCCH, and DoD, late September to late October, if there's one person in that meeting and they've been in there for 10 minutes, they're going to get a notification. It will prompt the user to end it. If that person doesn't see it, then it will end 3 minutes later after that prompt, right? So that means you don't have to go in there, kick that person out if you don't have to do that. It'll take care of it automatically, okay? There's going to be a new Stream web app that's coming out where you literally can then, it's a one-stop shop. Remember, again, that's that whole Stream transition, new modern version Stream, moving to SharePoint and OneDrive and those things. In early August to late September, general availability, all the government clouds, we're talking early October to early November. Basically, it's a one place, a web application where you can open, modify, view all your videos. Doesn't matter where it's at, they're going to be able to see it in one spot. There is a call control capability that's coming to Teams. And right now, if you're in a Teams meeting and you have a headset, you have to have a dongle, right, just to be able to really get the full capability of that device. Well, with this release, you can use Bluetooth to be able to, jump on a meeting or get on a call or end a call or mute, right? So this is, again, starting in for standard at GCC late June, and then GCCH late July to late August. So keep that in mind. That's coming. It should be out in standard right now, but for the rest of us, it's GCC high. It's coming in the near future. So keep that in mind. That's a great little feature, especially if you don't have that dongle anymore. I keep on losing mine. Azure AD temporary access pass is available now. Something for you if you guys want to do more around the passwordless methods for sign-in. And really, it's going to help with getting them on board. And then, especially for those who forgot how to actually do that process, to get them on board, even if they don't have those registered devices available, but they have a couple other options. Admins can opt in. You don't have to do it. That's not something, especially not everybody has gone down to a passwordless scenario. We have MS Purview, some changes happening to that, so keep on that. The nice one is the ability to be able to clone data loss prevention policies that you already have and start from one, so kind of like a template that you can already start and then modify after the fact. There is some adjustments with SharePoint and OneDrive one-time passcodes. Keep that in mind. And external resources to Viva Topics. So before we can only do internal resources in the topics pages, but now we can do external resources. And then the last one is really focused on, this is disabled chat write access for anonymous or unauthenticated users. There's a huge request from the financial services side of things. There's a lot of regulatory needs wrapped around being able to do this for disable it for anonymous or unauthorized or unauthenticated users. So this is coming out here, now standard, coming a little bit later in GCC, GCC high, and DoD. All right. Some updated ones. These are big ones. And I think the one that I want to call out is the top one. This changed. And this is basically what it is. It's Microsoft is going to do more about blocking VBA macros and files. There was a lot of feedback on this. And so it was supposed to be out by now. However, they stopped that. And there's no ETA when that's going to come back, or they're going to put that in there. Again, it's more of a security thing, making sure everything is good from a macro set of things. A couple other ones that have changed to keep in mind. The meeting poll new question type rating, right? So being able to have a poll in a meeting where you put in there and what's your thought on X, Y, and Z, and have everybody rate that. That's been pushed to later this month. As well as the forms templates for commercial users, that's being pushed later in July, as well as to customize org sign-in and sign-up pages. And last but not least, just a reminder of there's only 4 right now, admin actions. The big one that just happened last month was the IE11 retirement. So hopefully you guys are off of that, but keep these ones in mind. The retirement of the get set fish filters policy in PowerShell, retirement of graph and license assignment for updating, and that's PowerShell and APIs. Basic authentication deprecation in EXO, which I hope a lot of people have already kind of started working through that, but that's coming up in October. And then there's new PowerShell control for loop components, and that's being released in November. All right, with that, I think I'm done.